Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. HisRoyalFatness here, and today we are continuing the How to Play series and the Jg.Pz E100, where I will be showing you 3 consecutive live games today to break down my thought process and demonstrate through either my accomplishments or failures how you should be playing the Jg.Pz E100. Now, the Jg.Pz E100 has been a very highly requested video, and I can see why. It is definitely a tier 10 tank destroyer that has kind of fallen out of favor in the recent years, but that does not mean it is a bad tank destroyer. But compared to something like a T110 E3, well, the gun's the only reason you would choose that over an E3, really. But that is what makes the Jg.Pz E100 special. It has a gigantic 800 alpha gun with decent accuracy, amazing penetration, and of course that alpha damage. It also has a similar armor profile to that of the E100, which means it is a nice gigantic box. So that is also one of the other kind of unique characteristics of the Jg E100 is you can actually angle the vehicle up and use it more as a side scraping tank destroyer. And I know that sounds weird, but when you're playing with this vehicle, you don't want to poke sideways like this, because look at where the gun is mounted. The gun is mounted on the back of this vehicle. Poking around a corner, you have to show at least the entire first half of your vehicle to effectively shoot the enemy team. That is not the way to use the Jg. Instead, what you should do is side scrape out, and that way you're showing a much smaller profile. You're more likely to bounce shots. So it is a side scraping tank destroyer. It's a tank destroyer that I feel you can definitely support your heavies and even play frontline with your heavies in some situations and do very well. But there are some weaknesses to this tank. For instance, both the superstructure, and you can see these 2 flat panels on the side, and of course the lower plate, are extremely susceptible to heat rounds and any kind of tier 10 premium rounds. So even if you're side scraping at an angle like this and you're showing just a little bit of that superstructure, well, the heat rounds are just going to go straight through it. So that does kind of negate, in a way, the armor profile in this vehicle, but it is still capable of, you know, ricocheting those shots and maintaining an angle that is harder for the enemy team to pen. So you can still side scrape in it, but just be aware that if you're versus something like an E100 or a tier 10 tank destroyer, then you might want to be just patient and wait in this vehicle instead of trying to side scrape around every single building at every single tank. You have to be very selective of what you choose to fight in this vehicle, and that is kind of the Jg.Pz E100. It is slow. It has no turret, and for that reason, generally speaking, you will want to stick with your team. But other than that, I play it as just a heavily armored tank destroyer, kind of like a heavy tank, just a little bit. Not too much, but just a little bit like a heavy tank. Sometimes sniping when I need to. And for those of you that are interested, this is the equipment I am running on this vehicle. I just now realized I am running calibrated shells on this tank. I do not think it needs calibrated shells at all, but you know what, since I've been running it this whole time, I guess that's what I am going to be running. Like I've always said, equipment is subjective to you as a player, and it is always best to test out what works with you. And with that out of the way, let's hop right on into the live gameplay. All right, and here we are for the first game. We are on Nube, and we're just going to start this off by looking at the enemy's lineup. They have a Kranwagen, lots of gun depression. They have an E5, good gun depression, turret armor combo as well. They also have a T22 that may come this way. So my bet is the majority of the enemy team are probably going to be engaging us here on the bridge side of the map. And as my team wants to go towards the bridge side of the map as well, I am pretty much bound to go this way. There's no reason for me to go into the park because I will definitely not have the support to do that. So I'm going to see if I can help my team over here on the bridges. I don't really like sitting in spawn here because when you sit in spawn, you can just get rushed so easily from behind. I prefer to stick with my team, and if you do manage to take control of the high ground, then it is very nice, especially if the enemy team are pushing onto you. And as is very evident, because no one's been spotted yet, the enemy team did in fact go into town and not towards the bridges, so that is good for me. Our M60 is up over here, pretty aggressive. I'm happy with that because he should theoretically be able to spot up the enemy team quite well if they go for a crossing. And as you can see, the enemy's Kranwagen is sitting sideways, or he drove into I think he drove into a pole or something, so he couldn't drive around the corner there, and that's fine. Okay, now what is happening here? Enemy team are clearly progressing quite aggressively into our spawn. I can hold here pretty well. If I just hold this angle, we're gonna have the M60 pulling in behind us, and I'm just going to sit here for now and wait things out. I'm not going to commit to one side or the other because it's only a matter of time before the enemy team do pull around that corner. You can see the T22 has already been spotted up. The Emil2 makes a big mistake, and we hit him for 750 along with the 50B and the E5, I believe, tapping him as well. So he has lost a lot of his hit points already, and he's pretty much out of this game, and that's exactly what we were waiting for. Now, the M60 there and the nuke on the MIL-2, the enemy team are not going to poke there again. I think it's very unlikely that their team is going to be aggressive down there. What I'm going to do here is pull back this way and see if I'm able to start engaging the enemy team from the rear. As you can see, they did have an E4 at the park, but these tanks over here are semi-isolated, and I want to see if I can be a little bit more aggressive on these vehicles. So the MIL-2 is around the corner. We're going to load up a nice HE shell for this E5. We're going to put that into him for 1200, exactly what we wanted. And you can see just how nice the high explosive ammo is on this vehicle, and we're just going to pressure this E5. He can't pull around our side. We're going to angle up here so he can't really pen us very easily either, and yeah, it's game over for him. We're going to load up a high explosive shell, and that's, you know, the HE on this tank is probably one of the nicest parts about the vehicle. And now I'm going to progress forward onto this Kranwagen. So I played it very passively at the start. I didn't want to overcommit to anything. I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew, practically, pretty much is what I'm trying to say. And then once I realized, you know what, the enemy team are in kind of bad spots, I was able to easily progress outward and do what I need to do. We snap a nice shot into that Kranwagen, and now we can side scrape off of this building a little bit. The T-22 should have some trouble penetrating us. As you can see, he is struggling, and we have a 50B right behind us. So this T-22 really can't afford to be that aggressive versus us. He bounces off of us again. I am just backing up here. We're going to put a kill shot into the T-22. Wow, we actually low-rolled him in the 50B, picked up the kill. Oh dear, that's a lot of tanks. So I'm going to keep angling up here. We've already blocked a pretty good amount of damage this game, and I'm just going to kind of hold this angle right here. And I think what I'm going to do is actually start progressing on this E4, as he is the lower HP target here. So I'm going to shoot the E4. E4 has just fired. Someone picks up a kill on him, and now we can continue progressing forward. So this is kind of a good example of what makes the Jagdpanzer such a kind of enjoyable tank in some scenarios. You really can take it as a brawling, hold down, frontline kind of heavy tank. As you see, we were able to facilitate a lot of bounces there just by going hold down, and of course that juicy HE into the rear of the T110 E5. So 4.6k damage, not a bad game. It was you know, it was a bit interesting. The enemy team pushed straight into our spawn. They didn't send anyone to the bridges. I was expecting a bridge fight, and they did not do that. And then I kind of just held at the bridges, waited to see where the enemy team was committed, right? I wasn't going to push deep into our spawn. I wasn't going to push deep in through the mid until I knew, like, where is the majority of their team going? Where's their attention focus? And once I figured that out, I was like, hey, I can flank around behind these guys and start dealing the damage. And of course, well, that poor T110 E5 found out the hard way what a Yag's HE feels like. Okay, we are on Mayan Ruins for this second game, and looking straight at the lineups, we are super heavy. AMX M454, Mouse, E100, VK9001. I mean, this is a super heavy, and the enemy team are actually very heavy. Double E100s and AMX M454. So I'm going to make the assumption that the enemy team is probably going to go towards the A, B side of the map, and they're not really going to focus too much attention towards C. And as you can see, tanks have already been spotted up going towards A. I really need some support here. Because I can't really overcommit to one side or the other. What I think I will do for the start of this game is try and see if I can get some shots down the A alley, and I will have these heavy tanks to support me. As long as they do not overcommit down the mid, I will have these heavy tanks for support in a moment. You can see they have sent both E100s and a 113 down this way, and it really is just me holding off all of these vehicles. So we're going to put a good shot into this E100 as he pokes around the corner, hitting him for 844 and then pulling back into safety. We were not spotted. That is very important for us because, well, except for the E100 nuke there, they don't know exactly where I am. I mean, they know where I am in the vicinity, but they're not going to be super like aggressive on me. All right, I'm going to keep holding this angle in case the 113 decides to push out of the A cap. There's no need for me to be super aggressive here. Here's the 113. We're going to push shot into his side for almost 900, and that is a good start to our game. 1700 damage to start things off. We've gotten some good nukes into their heavy tanks, but I think it is now time for me to move. I no longer have shots where I am. Well, this 113 is definitely going to be giving me shots in a moment. We're going to pop the adrenaline here, load the heat up, and we're going to put hopefully a shot into his side. It doesn't quite pen there, so the 113 wants to progress up on us. That is fine, and I think what I can do here is just kind of counter push this 113 out. He is not really paying attention to me at the moment. I believe he actually is trying to drop down to kill our mouse. That actually is a good play on his part. What I can do here is I can just go hold down up top here and start working down these heavy tanks myself. I think what I'm going to do is focus this E100. He has the bigger gun after all. We do get a shot into him, only hitting him for 650 unfortunately, and we do take a shot through the lower plate, showing you just how weak the lower plate is on this tank. Even when you heavily angle it like that, an E100 will easily be able to pen that. Now, E100 is on reload for a little while longer. I'm going to load up a heat shell and wait for him to poke forward, and then we're going to pick up the kill shot there. This 113 is pretty isolated and on his own. Hopefully someone will be able to pick up the kill on him soon. If not, I will be able to kill the 113, but the M4 should hopefully have him. So I'm going to save my shot for the moment and kind of see, well, where am I best useful? And I think I'm going to actually pick up a kill on the 113. So there we go. Not so bad. Our score is 2-2 here. We've had a pretty good game so far. We started out sniping, we got like 2,000 damage from sniping, and then we progressed forward onto tanks like this 113 and E100. Now, the game is still relatively close. I want to see if there's any chance of me killing vehicles like this T62A. Okay, he's pulling out of my range, but this T110E4 is giving me a nice side shot, so hopefully we max roll him. We do hit the E4 for 1,000, and that is where the alpha damage on the Jag is just oh so very nice. Hitting vehicles like that E4 for 1,000 damage really allowed me to guarantee he becomes a one-shot. So now we're going to side scrape out against the E4. We're going to put a shot through his lower plate. Unfortunately, the E4 did manage to hit our lower plate there, but we did pick up a much-needed kill there, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my position for now, because the E100's obviously going to be kind of pre-aiming my way. He misses his shot, and oh no, we fluffed our shot too. So we both fluffed our shots there. AMX-M4 is providing some good support, so this E100 can no longer really push on us, and I'm just going to see if there's any way I can kind of side scrape out against this E100, because we do need to pick up a kill on him pretty soon. As you can see, he's still in front of us, and no, he just pulled back just in time. And okay, I'm just going to keep holding here and trying to keep the E100 out of the fight. So the E100 has pulled up a little bit. Unfortunately, I fluffed my shot. I didn't realize there was a rock there, so hopefully the E100 will get a little bit overconfident now and pull up. The issue is the enemy team have a very good split of their hit points here, and our M4, while very healthy, is not in the best of positions right now. So here's the E100. E100 has just shot the M4. I fluffed my heat shot on his side. Very unfortunate. We are down on kills. What I really need to do here is push up on this E100 and stop him from killing our M4. So I'm going to try and block this E100. Unfortunately, the E100 does pick up the kill there, which I really needed to stop him from doing that. We're going to load up a heat shell, putting it straight through his lower plate, but we have unfortunately taken a shot from the M4. We are a one-shot to the 62A. I think I did not play that very well at all, actually, late game there. Enemy team are going to win this on cap. There's a 62A probably yolling around my corner. M4 did a good job. You know, it just was a really weird situation. If I had managed to pick up that kill on the E100 there, we would have 100% won that match, but that is just not the case. We're going to pick up... Okay, we're going to try and pick up a kill on the T62A. Most unfortunately, the shot does miss there. 62A is still in front of us, though. You know, giving us a potentially easy kill shot here in just a moment. We do manage to pick up the kill, and we clutch the game. Oh my gosh, the 62A just threw that match. I played like trash, okay? I played like trash. I'm going to be straightforward with you. My shooting was awful, especially for shots like on the E100, but oh boy, supremacy coming in clutch there. Don't do what that 62A did. He gave away a free win. Okay, interesting. So we're going to jump into a third game. I think what we can mostly say about that last game is I played it pretty well at the start, but my mistake was not pushing on the E100. I couldn't really push on him though. The M4 had me in a crossfire, and pushing onto him would have been very, very difficult with that M4 crossfiring me. I would have died 100%. The issue was I should have pushed up sooner once that M4 dropped down, so I could have kept our M4 alive a little longer. Either way, we still managed to clutch up the game, even though it was from the 62A, making a rather poor decision in attempting to YOLO me there. So let's go help our team in town here. So we are on the map Desert Sands, and as a Yagi 100, we can work very well in a town environment, and that's exactly what I am planning to do this battle, is try and support our IS-7 here in the town. So the 5A, I believe, oh dear, we do get spotted up, well, most unfortunately, but tanks like the VK90, this VK90 is over-angling his side scrape, so I can put a nice shot into him easily in the side, and then we're just going to try and angle up towards this E100. E100 gets baited out really hard, and he takes a ton of damage there. So that is good for the start of this game. Now, our IS-7 is doing a good job side scraping here, but I think, you know what, buddy, we can be a little bit more aggressive on tanks like this VK90 or even this 5A. I can kind of hold this angle here, 1 second, and just kind of work my way around. I mean, as a a Yag, we can side scrape quite well. We do pick up a kill shot onto that E100, and we're able to get a bounce from the 5A, and we're just kind of holding here side scraping. This is yeah, this is Yag heavy tank style gameplay 101. We're going to angle up here so we can get a shot on the 5A, do get a nice shot into him. Hopefully our E75 pulls back. I want him to hold his position. The VK will have no trouble penning us here through the superstructure, and he does actually bounce off of us. So yeah, you know, this is what you can do. You can play in a town environment, you can side scrape, you can see the enemy team are even shooting high explosive at me, and I'm going to back out here and try and see whether or not this 183 gives me a max roll kill shot. He does not. Hopefully our E75 can pick up the kill. That's why I'm pulling in here, and as long as our E75 is, oh dear. So our E75 didn't quite reload in time to pick up the kill shot there, which is a little unfortunate, but you know, we're doing our best to work down this angle. So 183 is pretty much distracted here. The VK90 is stuck in with the side to me. We're going to put a shot into him for 800, and then we're just going to continue kind of pushing forward onto him while angling. And you can see we bounced another shot. I mean, this tank really is capable of being a heavy tank when you need it to be. So we're going to continue pressuring this VK90 here. VK90 goes down, and I don't think we're going to quite get the angle to shoot at the... we damaged his track. Yeah, we weren't quite able to get the angle to shoot at that T95. That was a very fun game, and I think it highlights just what makes the Jagdpanzer E100 different. It is the only tier 10 tank destroyer where you can side scrape and you can take like 6 shots and bounce a lot of those shots, and you can be really effective in this vehicle with your heavy tanks. You don't have to sit back and snipe. It's not like the E3, although I think the E3 is a better tank on the whole. The E3 is more of a hold down tank, right? You get it hold down and you're invincible. The Yag's more of a, you need to have a little more of that finesse, that angling. You need to know how to side scrape in the vehicle and angle it out around corners and do well. I definitely made some mistakes while playing this tank, mostly in terms of my my abysmal shooting skills here and there, but for the most part, these were all excellent examples of how to play the Jagdpanzer E100. It's a solid tank. It's very easy to do damage in if you just play with your team, and that's really important to note because, well, the Jagdpanzer E100 doesn't have the best mobility, so you don't want to get too separated from your team unless you're in a situation like on Mayan Ruins where, well, my team, we're not going to progress further than the B cap, so they could just turn and support me if I need that support. That's why I was fine with that separation, but for the most part, I'm always sticking with at least half of my team when possible. So that is my video on how to play the Jagdpanzer E100. I hope you guys were able to learn a thing or two about how this vehicle plays, how to angle it, and you know, what you should be thinking while playing this vehicle. Please feel free to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe for more content. You guys are awesome, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.